Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're having a good time, good week. I made a video last week about Boxing News, the trade paper in Britain, which was founded in 1909, and it went through a couple of, I can't remember the names, but there were a couple of name changes. I think it was boxing and some other sports as well, but the paper, nevertheless, 1909 it was founded, and it was weekly. And last week it was revealed that the people that own Boxing News are about to make it a monthly publication called Boxing News Monthly, and amalgamate it with a previously dormant, very, very good quality monthly magazine called Boxing Monthly. So they will resurrect Boxing Monthly, put it with Boxing News, and make it into Boxing News Monthly. Now, the reaction, certainly in the letters page of today's Boxing News, was not positive, and I get it. I actually feel the same way. The attitude is, this has been a weekly publication for, 116 years? Something like that? Yeah, 116. My math is not good. 1909, yeah. 116 years. And, for the vast majority of the history of the sport, certainly in Britain, although it does cover international contests as well, boxing fans have had the chance, it used to be a Friday, it comes out on a Thursday now, to read reports and so on, and, follow the careers of people and read articles and so on. And now they're going to, instead of having, 52 copies of the magazine, they're only going to have 12, which it's not. I kind of knew, got an incense stick on the guy. I kind of knew that this would be the reaction, because to me, the appeal of Boxing News was that it was a weekly publication. Back in the day when I started reading it, which was in the 80s, I think, yeah, probably the early 80s, I also used to buy the imports, the American imports, The Ring, the version of The Ring that was around. World Boxing was one, Boxing Illustrated, I think, was another. There were a few American magazines, maybe 2 or 3, that were made by the same company, published by the same company, and they'd import them, and you'd get them sort of long after the events had happened. But they were good. They were very good. I mean, they had some great articles, and the editorializing was quite strong in the American publications, whereas the weekly Boxing News, the editorial existed. There was always an editorial at the start of the magazine, but it was slightly more British, slightly more refined, shall we say. But again, the weekly vibe, it was like, oh yeah, it's Friday, Boxing News is out, rush and get it, read the reports, read what's coming on in the following week. This, of course, was pre-internet. And the internet, of course, is why Boxing News and so many other publications have suffered. Many have gone out of print. The fact that on the positive, and I am trying to be positive about this, is that at least it's making an attempt to survive. To become Boxing News Monthly, it's better than having nothing. It's just a great shame that it is now, a monthly publication instead of a weekly one. And as I say, I mentioned the internet. Of course, that is the reason why publications have suffered. When I was a young man, my other great passion, apart from boxing, is music. Making it and playing it, as well as writing songs and so on, as well as listening to it and going to gigs, which I love. But there used to be Melody Maker, there used to be Sounds, there used to be the NME. Am I right in saying they've all gone out of publication? And you still get monthly music mags. I get one sent to me, Mojo, I think it is, which it's more for older music fans. But there isn't that. I think I'm right in saying there isn't a weekly music publication now. There used to be 3 of them, 4 of them. Well, you'd have the broadsheet ones, which were Sounds, Melody Maker, and NME. Then you'd have Smash Hits. You'd have Number One, and it was the deluge of music information. It's probably the same with football. I mean, I've followed football for many years, but I'd imagine that it's all online now. It's all online, and no one or younger people ain't really big on not just magazines but books, which I think is a tremendous shame. because the amount of stuff that's online, very little of it has what I would call quality. There isn't any real journalism there. There isn't any real education going on for people, certainly regarding the history of the sport. Younger people will think of the 90s as being like the Ice Age. Of course, it isn't. But then when I started watching boxing, my granddad used to talk about Rocky Marciano or whoever. That might as well have been 1,000 years ago, but he remembered it. Joe Louis and obviously Muhammad Ali, and my grandfather had even though he was, he knew his stuff. He had the attitude that a lot of people now have, which is the modern fighter's not as good as the old ones. That just seems to be a generational thing. Although he did love Marvin Hagler, I thought Mike Tyson was fantastic as well. My grandfather died in 1988, which meant he was seeing the rise of Tyson. Didn't see the demise, thank heavens, but he loved Marvin Hagler as well, and But I mean, I'm going off at a tangent here. I'm kind of rambling a bit, but no, I think it is understandable that people are not happy that there is no longer a weekly boxing publication. But if it's to survive, maybe it needs to go monthly. I want it to succeed. I want it to stay around. I like print journalism. It's, again, the quality of the writing is excellent. They fact check. They do their, they call it due diligence or whatever you want to call it. And then when they write their articles, and occasionally they get things wrong, occasionally, but in comparison to the sort of the vast deluge of slop that we get on the internet, anyone with a camera becomes an expert. I mean, people can say, you say this about me. I've never said I'm an expert, by the way. I'm just a boxing fan who's followed boxing for 40 whatever plus years it is, and I've read thousands of magazines and hundreds of books. But does that make me an expert? What is an expert? I think anyone who points a camera at someone, they're just a guy with a camera. They're not a journalist. And the death of the print media, I think, is a huge step backwards. Because to find the good stuff online, to find the people who genuinely know what they're talking about, who really are, educated to and this applies to any subject, not just boxing, of course, any subject. But you have to swim through all this sewage to get to the good stuff. It's when the internet. I'm old enough to remember when the internet came along and people were saying, "Yes, it'll be great because it'll be great for educating people. Information will be out there and all this sort of stuff." What they forgot, of course, was that the internet has given the world's imbeciles a foghorn, and they can now spout. It's who shouts the loudest. Look at Twitter, the absolute sewer of a fucking platform. Twitter, full of bigots and arseholes and trolls and all this shit. I miss print media and I miss books. I want those to still exist. I want expertise to still exist. And sadly, I think we seem to be going down the other path. But I don't know. What are your thoughts? Tell me, let me know. Comments below, of course. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you know, and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video as well. I always appreciate your support. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you very much again. I hope you have a good evening, and I'll catch you later. And bye for now.